Welcome back to Northwest City Politics in the Know with Juanita. We're glad that you're joining us again this week for our show. We're always happy for people like you, people who are interested in what's happening in our cities. It is important for good government that there be a back and forth with ideas and information between the city councils and the mayors, the city staff, and the city residents. So we're glad that you're interested. If you haven't watched our show before, each week we'll have someone on from one of the 9 cities in CCX's viewing area that'll bring us some updates on what's happening in that city and what's going to be happening in the future. So we're glad that you're with us, and we're happy to welcome Mayor Kelli Slavik tonight from Plymouth, who's been on our show before.
Yes, thank you.
So we're glad to have you update us, let us know what's going on in Plymouth.
Sure, happy to be
And
here.
then ahead of time, I let you know that I want you to introduce yourself out to our wider audience. Give them a little information about yourself, because people who aren't from Plymouth might not know much about you and about your time and your background in the city.
Sure. Well, this is my 11th year as mayor of Plymouth, and I have 1 more year left on my term.
Okay.
Prior to becoming mayor, I served on the city council for 8 years in Plymouth. So by the time my term is up in 2018, I'll have 20 years into city government.
That's pretty good.
It's been an honor and a pleasure to serve the residents of Plymouth. It's something I really enjoy, and I've lived in Plymouth since 1991. And I've raised 2 teenagers. One's finishing her last year of high school, and I have a sophomore in college. So they still keep me pretty busy because they're both still heavily involved in sports.
Right.
And so, but I try to be very active as mayor too when I serve on the State Board of Firefighter Training and Education, as well as the Plymouth Civic League, the Municipal Legislative Commission, and also Plymouth Beyond the Yellow Ribbon. So I really like to be active and bring all kinds of interest to the city of Plymouth, and really work to foster a very open relationship. And I'm also on a mission to get out to all the Plymouth businesses and meet with business owners and see what their needs are and how the city can assist them. So it keeps me quite busy. It's definitely a full-time job, but I really love the work, and I have great staff to work with.
And that gives you a lot of background information when it comes to the issues that you're dealing with.
Absolutely, it does.
And then to start on the issues that we talked about ahead of time, the Plymouth City Council is busy and hard at work on setting the budget for 2018-2019, right?
Sure, we certainly are.
And so I thought we'd give people a little bit of information about what are the steps that the City Council goes through before they get to December when you accept the budget.
Sure. Well, it really starts out in May, and we have a 2-year budget planning cycle. But we start in May with department directors analyzing the needs that they have, and if they need additional staff or equipment or any types of training, they kind of put together their wish list. And then each department does that, and then that all comes together under the umbrella of the city. And our finance department and our city manager really starts kind of narrowing scope and focus before it comes to the city council. And then in about this year, in June, we had a very preliminary discussion just to see where things were headed, and the city council let the staff know some of their desires and where they hoped the budget would be at. And so really, though, in August, the council started to sit down and really go through the budget page by page alongside city staff and talk about new expenditures and how things were moved around, and things that we had expected to happen that maybe we're going to postpone a year or 2 because we could get more, say, equipment life out of a certain piece of equipment, or we could delay hiring, or we needed to hire somebody a little bit sooner. So we really sit down pretty much every Tuesday in the month of August, and even leading into September, to take a look at the budget and kind of really fine-tune it and refine it and get to where everybody's kind of comfortable with it, because we'll adopt a preliminary budget, and we can go down from there, but we can't go up. And so I think it's pretty ideal to kind of have everything in there, and then we can continue up until we have the final adoption in December to make some adjustments and to lower our levy if desired.
Yeah, there's a lot of work that goes into the setting up of budget that people probably aren't aware of.
That's true. That's true.
They're aware when you get to the end of the line, right?
Definitely.
And maybe you can talk about the fact that the increase in market value that's happening, and how much Plymouth has, and then how does it affect the budgeting process and the residents?
Sure. Well, Plymouth is in a fortunate situation because we're still a growing community.
Right.
And so we will have about 1.5% of new construction market value in the city. Which sounds great because that's more tax dollars coming in. However, that additional growth requires city services, whether it's police or fire or water, sewer, parks, trails, all of that has a cost associated with it. So we still need to start expanding services then when we have new residents come in, and that expanded tax base really gets consumed with the additional services that are required in the area. So it's an opportunity for us to really examine our services as we're providing more and more services to try to do them more efficiently.
Yeah, and then also the fact that the increase in market value can increase taxes without you're increasing the levy or anything, right?
Very true. Very
and
true.
that kind of lags behind by about almost a year. So sometimes people get puzzled when they get their what the taxes are going to be.
Yes. Yep. And we try to be as transparent as possible. All of our meetings are open to the public. We encourage people to get involved. We will send them our budget electronically. They can come in and pick up a copy of our budget, attend a meeting, give us some feedback on what their thoughts are. We usually don't get too many people doing that, but we certainly welcome that input and love to have that feedback from our community.
Right. Now, you also set up a capital improvement plan. Maybe you can explain to people what this involves.
Sure. Well, our capital improvement plan is really a 5-year projection of proposed capital projects. A lot of times, and we're going to look at expanding that even into a 10-year plan, just because to do some additional forecasting and budgeting. But it's really just large capital expenditures. A lot of it is infrastructure, and just because it's in the capital improvements plan doesn't mean the council has vetted it and decided to do it. It's more or less a placeholder to start putting aside some funds for these major capital projects. For example, when we were doing an addition to our public works facility, we had it programmed for a certain year, and then we decided to delay it another year or two because we were trying to save money and we were trying to pay for it without raising tax dollars, which we were without raising the tax rate. So we were able to do that in that circumstance. So it's really it's a very fluid, flexible document, but it does provide us with some parameters and some planning. It's more of a planning tool. So but really it's the larger capital projects in the city: road reconstruction, our ice center, updating Plymouth Creek Center. We look at some public safety initiatives and larger scale equipment as well.
And then there's a number of dates that people should be aware of that I pulled off of your website.
Sure.
So that in September you're going to set the budget, right?
That's right.
Which can go down.
Yes.
Which can go down but can't go up.
That's true. Yes.
Then I've got that October 4th at 7 p.m. you have a budget hearing.
Yes.
So this is the place for people to come if they've got serious concerns about something that should be on there or not on there, right?
That's right. Yep, and then they can react. Right now, our budget is almost $40 million. It's $39.6 million. That'll be a 4.9% increase. And so even if we don't expect residents to sit and read through the budget, but if they can come to us and say, that's too high, we want it lowered, or we want this service, so we're willing to pay more for that, which we do hear that often. So it's really, you don't have to have all the technical ins and outs of our budget. You can just give us some simple feedback, let us know what your thoughts are, and we're very happy to work with somebody, sit down and explain the process and assist them in any way.
And then in December is when you actually have another hearing and you actually adopt the budget and the levy.
Yes, we do that at our final meeting in December.
So
12th.
What levy amount do you think you'll maybe end up with here now in September?
We're at about 4.9%, which is that's a $39.6 million budget. It's a 4.9% increase over last year.
And then on a little separate area is Plymouth now has a online bill paying process for utilities. Maybe you can tell people about that a little bit, especially those from Plymouth.
Yes. Well, we've had residents requesting this for quite some time. They want to be able to pay their bills online. They can do that now by going to our website and working with our authorized payment processor. And it's very easy to navigate, but you can not just pay your bill online, you can look at the history of your payments, you can print receipts, you can schedule different ways to pay your bill, and there's no additional cost to residents, and it's very easy. And if anybody needs help, there's a number on the website they can call, and the city will assist them in setting that up. But and we request if people do that that they request to stop receiving their paper bill, so we can be more efficient all the way around.
Right. Yeah, as a society, that's the direction we're moving, right?
Yes, it is, for sure.
And Plymouth's moving with it.
We certainly are.
Now, Plymouth is actively involved, and several businesses are reinvesting in their facilities. And this is an important part of any given city as it ages, right?
Absolutely.
So how does this process benefit the city of Plymouth?
Well, it keeps our businesses here in Plymouth when they're reinvesting, and then again, that really diversifies our tax base, and it helps our residential community as well. It helps to have a thriving community as our business community participates and adds to the value of life, whether they're providing jobs or out volunteering in the community or providing restaurant, retail opportunities, medical uses, so you can kind of do all of those, your life chores in Plymouth and stay in Plymouth and not have to travel too far outside. And we really have tried to diversify our businesses as well. And I think we provide our businesses great opportunities too. I think they want a safe community. They want employee availability. They want easy access to airports and downtown areas, and we've really maintained our infrastructure and upgraded our infrastructure, especially with improvements to 494, so businesses have the ability to get their goods and services in and out, and their employees to and from their place of work as well. So it's having a thriving business community is really important for a city.
So it's a kind of like a new area to get involved in for Plymouth.
Sure.
Because of where you're at, the process. Yeah. And then maybe you can give us an example of that when you can tell us about what's happening at the Atria Corporate Center.
Sure.
And now where is that located?
That is just a little bit north of West Health. At 494 and 55, kind of in that area.
So maybe if you describe what's happening there, that'll flesh out the idea.
Sure. Well, they've invested about $2 million into their building, and they renovated the lobby. They've added conference centers. They upgraded their parking lot, signage. They've done some natural site amenities and made the building more energy efficient. This, in turn, has attracted new tenants. And we've had the opportunity to, the city has gone out and, we kind of did a ribbon cutting, but then we got in discussions, and we've had I've been there to kind of do a mayor's update, and we're looking to host maybe some city events there as well. And they're excited to show off their building as well and make sure that their tenants are thriving and they have a place, a great, safe place that is renovated and energy efficient for their business community.
And then the Gage building that's on Highway 55 has also done some work? What have they accomplished?
They did a complete interior transformation, and they brought in some new tenants. And I've driven by that building many, many times, never went in before, and when they invited the city in, I was really surprised at all that building has to offer. They have some very hidden gems in their backyard. I'll say that they didn't necessarily want everybody trying to get onto their private property, but even the interior offices, they do some really interesting and innovative work there. They have a chemistry lab that makes flavorings for some very prominent companies, including General Mills, and they were doing some R&D and developing some new flavors, which was really interesting for us to go in and see. And there's a connection. The Gage family is part of the Carlson family as well, and so just seeing some of the history and design in their offices was really fascinating. They've done a wonderful job with building that out.
And then a third example was Jet 55.
Sure.
What are they and where are they?
Sure. Well, they put a substantial investment into their facility just off of Highway 55, and they reconfigured their space to really modernize their workspaces and amenities. They added a cafe, a fitness center, a yoga studio, and some innovative workstations to bring in more tenants and to kind of keep their facility competitive when they're attracting employees and business.
Then we've been talking with a lot of cities because this is the time when the Metropolitan Council has all of our cities working hard on their comprehensive plan.
Yes.
And I thought we'd give a little update on what Plymouth's doing on that plan. Now, it needs to be updated every 10 years, right?
Yes. Yep.
And it is a comprehensive process too, right?
It certainly
involves a lot of work, I think, from all of our cities. What are the steps that Plymouth's following as you go about updating your plan?
Okay. Well, the plan is due to the Met Council in 2018, and so we've started to review our existing plan and look at where changes need to be made, especially in a city like Plymouth where we're still expanding and we're still growing and seeing a lot of growth. Changes need to happen.
Of course.
It's really a regional planning document. So as we're growing, things are changing rapidly. So in addition to beginning with kind of a review of the plan and where we're at, we're hosting some open houses to make sure we get public input. Then the plan will be presented to the Planning Commission, where again people can come in and provide some input, and then it'll ultimately go to the City Council for final approval, again with more public input, and then it would be submitted to the Met Council. And so our staff is really going through chapter by chapter and looking at the regional planning, whether it's infrastructure and residential and commercial building and sewers and transit. All of that really leads into the full regional planning document. So the reason the Met Council requires that from each city is so that we kind of each city isn't completely different and kind of in a closed facility where we can kind of flow into one another and share resources.
Yeah, because once you get your plan put together, then you do have to, by law, share it with all the communities that are on your borders, right?
Yes, and they have the ability to comment on that, and we have the ability to comment on theirs too. So it really gives an opportunity for some continuity in amongst cities, and to really kind of, each city is unique, but to kind of level the playing field somewhat, so that residents can kind of seamlessly go through whether going from one community for a business or medical services or anything, really to make sure that there's some regional planning going on for consistency.
Yeah, that's important. And then the plan is not due till the end of 2018, right?
Correct. Yep.
So probably the best place for people to follow what's happening is on your website?
Yes, you can access the plan. You can look at some new chapters that are being added to and changed, and there's many opportunities to comment, whether you're attending an open house or a city meeting or just sending a letter to staff. We certainly value input.
And then there's road construction projects going on in all of our cities, in fact, our whole metro area, right? But I thought maybe we could just touch base on what's happening on a few of them. Now, County Road 24 has been under construction for storm sewers, right? What's the status and what's happening on that?
Sure. Well, that was a project that's the city's been asking for since I was a council member. So it's been
a long time,
over a decade.
Right.
And it's not just the storm sewers that are upgraded. It was a section of 101 of County Road 24 between 101 and Highway 55 that never got widened to 4 lanes like the rest of the corridor. And so it's being widened to 4 lanes, and then there was a trail gap there where the trail started and ended, but this one section of County Road 24, there was no trail, so people were walking on the shoulder. And so in addition to the storm sewers, the road will be straightened out a little bit, widened from 2 lanes to 4 lanes, and it will have a trail on the side. It's a much needed project. It will improve visibility and especially safety going through that corridor, and provide continuity between the segments.
An important one to finally get to, right?
Yes, we're really excited, and so far they're on track. The project's slated to be completed by October 31st of this year.
And then Schmidt Lake Road has had some projects going on?
Yes, the city did a kind of a mill and overlay there where we upgraded the pavement, and we've done some restriping and looked for opportunities to make the road a bit safer. We had a lot of discussion amongst the city council about taking it down removing some lanes, but ultimately decided to keep it a 4-lane road as we're continuing to see growth in the area. So we really looked at making some safety enhancements though, because there's lots of residential housing there, and there's a school there as well, and there's parks right along the road, and so we really wanted to make sure that people had safe access to those properties, but also if they're crossing the road, and for pedestrians and bikers as well.
Yeah, that'd be an important factor. And then part of Northwest Boulevard is getting paved. Now, this is a Hennepin County project?
Yep. Northwest Boulevard is County Road 61, and so the county is doing a repaving and striping from the CP rail tracks to Bass Lake Road. And the project is underway, and it was supposed to last a couple of weeks. It's always dependent on the weather. Right.
Yeah, the important part with road construction.
For sure.
And then maybe you can give us an update, because the city's been looking to get the bridge for County Road 9 that goes over 494 needs some reconstruction. Maybe you can speak to that and where you're at in the process.
Sure. Well, that bridge was constructed in 1965, and if you look closely at the bridge, you can see the concrete is chipping away, and you can see some rusted metal poking through. But really, that is a very unsafe stretch of County Road 9. It provides access to 494. The city really felt that it should have been upgraded when 494 was completed, and the bridge deck should have been widened so you could have 2 lanes with some dedicated turn lanes in each direction, because right now you have 2 lanes in each direction, but one of them is a left turn lane, and it gets very backed up. We see about 33 crashes there a year. It's a very expensive project. MnDOT and Hennepin County should be funding it, as it's access to the interstate, and it's a county road. The city is lobbying very hard to get some reinvestment from the county and MnDOT into that bridge. We're to the point where something needs to get done sooner rather than later. I think it's projected to be completed sometime in the 2020s, and so
too far down the road.
Too far down, for sure. And so the city is going to the state to try to get some bond money to move that project up, to see it. I mean, if we could see it happen in the next couple of years, it really needs that work done, and to provide that continuity along County Road 9 too, because there's a lot of congestion and a lot of frustration by our residents there.
And then Plymouth, along with other cities, has been involved in a cooperative thing called Open to Business.
Yes.
Now, this is in partnership with MCCD, and we won't need to go into what all that is, because we want to talk about the Open to Business part. But this is to help new businesses get underway. Maybe you can tell us a little bit about what's involved in that.
Sure. Well, it's really a program for smaller companies that are starting, for entrepreneurs, for somebody looking to branch out a bit in their company. And it's really a program that provides support. We have somebody that can provide consultations, financial advising, business loans. They can work with them on marketing, operational analysis. They can help them with some legal resources, give them advice on loan packaging and financing. And it's a program that we work with several other cities on in Hennepin County. And we have somebody at the city the second Monday of every month from 1 to 4. That is just kind of set aside for walk-in appointments. Somebody can show up with, their great business plan, and they can sit down and have a consultation. And it's not a one-time thing. They can serve as a resource continuing through the process. But you can also schedule an appointment and have some time set aside for just your project. So it's really an opportunity to support business growth in our community for that, that entrepreneur, that small business owner that needs some assistance.
Yeah, and having that source of information has to be really valuable to the companies or the people that get involved in it.
Yes, it is. I think it can be daunting, but when you have somebody that can guide you through the process, that has some experience and and can set you up with others in the know
Right.
and other resources that may be available to you that you wouldn't know about. It's really a great benefit to somebody looking
Right,
to
so
expand.
if people out there are thinking about starting a business and they live in Plymouth and some of the other cities that we'll talk about different, this is a good resource to even just get you started in the process, I think.
Absolutely. Yep. Yeah, it's a great resource.
And then it's just a matter of setting up an appointment or showing up on the second Monday, right?
Yep, between
and
1
it's
and
at
4.
City Hall, right?
Yep, right at City Hall.
Are there some businesses you can think of that got underway in this process in Plymouth?
Well, I know that there's a personalized house cleaning business,
Okay.
and one of the restaurants in Plymouth had some assistance as well. And so I think those are the ones that have opened. There's still lots in the works that are in the planning phases. It doesn't happen overnight.
No,
and so
no.
I think that they're working through the process and just really are appreciating that advice and assistance that they can get.
And so it can be an ongoing, you go out and do the work, and when you're not sure where to go to the next step, come in and
here.
meet. Right,
That's right.
Right. I think that's a big plus of moving into the future, because they talk about this being an important area,
It is, definitely.
especially as we move down the road as a regional area.
Yes, yep.
Now, briefly, we don't have a lot of time, but maybe you could mention, we talked about needing volunteers. What are the different commissions that your city has?
We have, our Planning Commission is probably our most
Okay.
active, but we also have a Park and Rec Advisory Commission, we have Environmental Quality Commission, and we have a Transit Advisory Group that meets kind of at an ad hoc basis.
Right.
And so, and there's other opportunities too where we might pull somebody in. We have a Park and Rec Advisory Board too, where we might pull a group together
Right.
if the city's looking at providing something new and we're looking for some expertise. We also have a very active
Okay.
charter commission too that needs to look at our charter and any city issues coming up.
So, and you have a volunteer coordinator.
Yes, we do.
So if anybody's at all thinking about volunteering, they should contact who?
Jackie Moss is our
Okay.
volunteer coordinator. Her information is on the website. And we have everything from individual volunteers to school kids to scout groups to large corporations looking to do big projects or one-time projects, ongoing projects. And Jackie is great at finding that niche that somebody has an interest in, and whether they do something for 2 hours or they show up at City Hall every Monday for 6 hours and do a job. So it's really been a great benefit to our community. I think it lets people get involved in the inner workings of our city, helps, whether it's a beautification project or volunteering at a city event or providing their expertise in advising police on matters, on some public safety initiatives. So it's really a great opportunity. And aside from all of that, it's really saved the city a lot of money by having this expertise come and providing this volunteer work. So it's really been a great opportunity for the city. Our volunteer program is over 20 years old, and I think we have one of the strongest volunteer organizations in the state of Minnesota.
Well, I want to thank you so much for taking your time and your experiencing and sharing it with our audience out there. And we encourage you to tune in next week for part 2 on Plymouth's issues. We're glad that you've been with us, and come back again. Bye.